Kia ora, nau mai ki te whare. Welcome to The House, ko Louis Collins aho. Nearly 25 years after the corngate saga of the early 2000s, the debate on genetic modification is back in New Zealand's political consciousness thanks to the Gene Technology Bill. The bill is currently going through the select committee process and had public hearings this week. The bill does get quite technical quite quickly, and unless you're well versed in the intricacies of biotechnology, it's all a wee bit confusing. But broadly speaking, the bill seeks to enable the safe use of gene technology through establishing a new regulatory regime for genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. The government says New Zealand has lagged behind other countries, which they say are increasingly using gene technology to their benefit in areas such as agriculture, medicine and climate adaptation. If you're not sure what I mean by gene engineering, here's Te Pāti Māori's Hana Maipi-Clark during the bill's first reading.
So what is gene technology? To break it down for all the rangatahi watching right now. It is the science of changing or controlling the genes inside living things, like plants, animals, or even bacteria, to make them do things we want. Genes are like the instructions that tell living things how to grow, look, and work. With gene technology, scientists can add, remove, or change these instructions to improve health, make better crops, or even create new medicines. It's like editing a recipe to make it better, different, or potentially even worse.
Submitters this week offered a diverse range of views. Some, like William Rolleston, were in favour of the bill. Rolleston is the chair of the Life Sciences Network, who he says works to improve scientific literacy and hold misrepresentation of science to account.
Gene technology is revolutionising medicine. We now have the tools to address at the genetic level diseases such as cancer, inherited disorders and autoimmune diseases. The Royal Commission advised that it was not realistic to consider either a GE-free nor a 100% organic future. We should proceed with caution. There has been a lot of caution in the last 20 years, but very little proceeding. Other countries who use GM also trust their industries to manage coexistence. I asked the committee to investigate industry schemes like Australia's Market Choices Framework, Canada's stewardship schemes, or the internationally recognised Excellence Through Stewardship program in the USA. The recommendations you make, whether in the words of the Nobel laureates, you base those recommendations on emotion and dogma or on data, in other words, what evidence you consider credible, will determine that future.
Others were staunchly opposed, like GE Free New Zealand's Claire Bleakley.
I oppose the Gene Technology Bill in its entirety and intent and ask for it to be withdrawn. There is grave danger to the environment, to human health and animals if there are no regulatory oversights of all exempted GE organisms. There are high risks on the effects from human error and miscategorising of exempted organisms. If there is a miscategorisation and it's released and causes dangers and risks, then who is to be liable for that? In New Zealand, consumers of farmers are being experimental guinea pigs subject to genetic experiments that will threaten the livelihood of producers, whether they are organic or not. Once released, we cannot recall the gene flow. As a health professional, I am concerned that the ill health from GE is not able to be detected. There are no diagnostic tools for health professionals to rule out any allergy, anaphylaxis or health problems from foods. They have been on the market for 20 years. Not one diagnostic tool is available. Diagnostic tests must be implemented before any GE is released.
Science behind this bill is indeed complicated and has far-reaching consequences across lots of different industries. The Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment, during his time with the committee, told MPs that the regulation of GMO should not be merely subject to ministerial discretion or influence from lobbyists.
The objective of the bill is, quote, to develop and maintain an independent, efficient and transparent system to regulate the use of gene technologies. However, The bill is drafted in a way that gives the minister significant opportunities to influence the regulator without actually taking responsibility for any specific decisions. The bill allows the minister to give wide-ranging general policy directions and promulgate regulations that determine the regulator's risk tolerance, risk assessment criteria, and conditions for risk management. Now, if Parliament wants citizens, businesses, and overseas trade partners to have confidence in the decisions of the regulator's decisions must be independent of political interference or industry lobbying. Social license and trade credibility demands that. To sum up, Mr. Chair, look, this is an important reform. I think it should go through. But if you want this to stick and if you want public confidence, you need an independent regulator. You can't shut the public out from participation, and you have to take account of any specific New Zealand risks that the regulator must apply his or her mind to.
That was Simon Upton, Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment. The Health Committee is due to report back to the House on the Gene Technology Bill by the 31st of July. It will then receive its second reading. It is currently supported by all parties in the coalition and opposed by all parties in opposition. E te whakarongo koe ki te whare. You've been listening to The House, a program made with funding from Parliament's Office of the Clerk. Mātua.